with what kind of strategy, or maybe a combination of different. But from whatever sense, you can see that their cities are improving, are transforming. They create a lot of dynamic. You see, if you go to Beijing, I think now or 10 years when I was there, they are totally different. When I went to Shanghai in 1990, I think that 2001, it was almost 10 years before I graduated there. After I graduated there, it was totally unrecognizable. So the change, the pace of city development is really fast. The complexity of the development become also quite, I think, unpredictable. I think the nice thing of development is you create all kinds of diversified economic development pictures in different regions, and they different in terms of economic functions and the path of development and the way how the local government lead them. But I think it's also create a lot of inequalities because of this selective strategy and different from each other. So I think that's something probably to have in mind. And what has strengthened or I would say increased this kind of confrontation or contradiction is because we used to have a loosened, we used to have very rigid registration system, so people cannot leave their home without any permission. But now they are loosened. So people from the poor region, especially from Sichuan where you will go to, they are one of the province that provide the most migrations to the south part of China, east part of China. There's millions of people move every year from their hometown to the advanced areas to look for job, for a chance of a house. So that's kind of scales I don't think you will ever experience in the western of the society. It's like every year there's a migrations who move back to their home as it comes to almost 100 years of the population move in America. So it caused also a lot of diversified situation, but also probably contradiction within the city. You have people who are enjoying the economic development, enjoying new lifestyle and housing, new housing for themselves, but they also have a lot of migration who do not have the chance to enjoy this kind of new facilities. So that creates a lot of difference. You have new housing situations that is really, people are living in gated community, just like anything what is, you can see in America. And you have the old traditional lane house, as you see in Beijing or in a courtyard or in Shanghai, the new house. So there are a lot of difference there. Another thing that maybe accelerates the economic development, the urban development, that is probably what you can see from the foreign direct investment, especially in the beginning through the Chinese businessmen who live overseas for many years. And these are the people who provide the possibilities for Chinese urban development to access to the global financial market. So that's probably the first step, and later on there are more development going on. I think the second part, I just want to give a really brief introduction of the development. But there are a lot of things to be discussed or to be introduced, and you can read in the paper and discuss with them later on. I think a development of such a scale that is half size of Hong Kong, one size of Singapore, I think with almost any urban development or urban or cities an enormous challenge. So when after 15 years the project has shown its new images in comparison with the last 19 years when very little has been done, I think that most people ask the question, how can this development be done so fast in the transition of China when nothing is really certain? I think Eastern Europe, Eastern China, is the Yangtze River Delta area. There are a lot of potentials of this area, especially with Shanghai as a leading cities. They were traditional manufacturing sectors, centers of China, economic centers of China. They have a lot of educated people who are very good in the manufacturing sector or in terms of management. But they don't have money. They don't have investment, and they don't have advanced know-how techniques to really build up something new beside or beyond the manufacturing sector. That's traditional one, very polluted. They have a lot of potential, I would say, at the time when you see that the south part has been developed very fast and has become very rich. And traditionally, people think about Shanghai as the most advanced city. And at the end of 1980s, even the pop songs changed their dialect to the Cantonese because that's the rich area. So that's give a lot of, I would say, input also, I would say, stimulations for the local people there to search for change, for transition, because that's what they really need. And also at the time, after the 30 years of heavy industrialization process, the city was left with a polluted city, little invested in the infrastructure and the public facilities, and almost no money has been invested in the housing sector in 30 years. So people were living about 3 square meters in the city center with 40,000 population in 1 square meter. So it's really, really very tight with everything else. I think people have really the need for some change. I think that's probably has been one of the very important conditions for the broad support of the government ideas to develop. But the threat has been there, as always, at the end of the 1970s. Is the red tapes. When you want to have a building permit, you're probably going to have more than 100 steps in order to get something started. And people who have already get their benefit during the Cultural Revolution, before the Cultural Revolution, they don't want to change. They want to keep their profit. So it's going to be a lot of conflicts if something new going to come. What has been done? If you look at this, and the Pudong area is actually, if you look at this, is at the end point of the river on the right side. New idea has been very much in favor of not only think about the development of the downtown area, but really to create a new economic structure and to create Pudong as a new economic engines for not only for Shanghai, but also for the whole Yangtze River Delta area. So when Shanghai has ambitions to become international economic centers and the trade centers, and Pudong can help it realize to build new economic functions, to build new urban environment to attract investors. I think if you think about it, it's just like that. But at the end of 1970s or end of 1980s, when you think of it, you will say, oh, it's ridiculous. How can you do it?